In the suffocating stillness of the courtroom, the world seemed to hold its breath. The gavel hovered in the judge's hand, motionless for a heartbeat. The ceiling lights cast harsh reflections across polished wood and weary faces. In that instant, everything felt uncertain, as if justice itself might fracture. Anna Walker, 32, sat rigid at the plaintiff's table, her knuckles white against the grain of old oak. Her eyes never wavered from the judge, even as her lawyer, a stoic man in his late 40s named Robert Kane, leaned in and whispered, "This is it." Anna's life was not just on trial, her sense of reality was too. The accused, Michael Trent, a 45-year-old man in a charcoal suit, shifted in his seat with barely contained arrogance, his lips curled in a subtle, cruel smile. The tension built until it was unbearable, everyone anticipating the thunderous finality of the gavel's descent. Outside, rain battered the courthouse windows, streaks of water distorting the view, and echoing the tears Anna refused to shed. Her parents, a gray-haired couple in their 60s, sat behind her, hearts in their throats, holding hands so tightly their knuckles blanched. The defense team eyed Anna with a mixture of pity and disdain. The judge, a woman in her early 60s with steely eyes, inhaled and brought down the gavel with a crack that split the silence like lightning. In that sound, everything changed. Anna's fate, the courtroom's composure, the future itself. Shocked, shattered, exposed. This was the crime they could not prove but felt in their bones, the secret violence that hung between every heartbeat. As the sound of the gavel reverberated, Anna's world constricted to the single moment she had dreaded for months. The judge's voice, steely and unwavering, declared, "The court finds insufficient evidence to proceed." Anna's breath caught in her throat, her body freezing as if time itself refused to move forward. Robert Kane gripped her shoulder, his touch both grounding and empty. "Anna, I'm so sorry," he said, but the words dissolved before they reached her. Michael Trent straightened in his seat, a small victorious smirk dancing at the corner of his mouth, his eyes cold and empty as winter frost. The jurors shifted uneasily, unable to meet Anna's gaze. Anna's parents reached for her, but she remained motionless, every ounce of energy gone. She had fought for the truth, exposed her wounds to the world, only to be told it wasn't enough. The courtroom seemed to shrink around her, walls pressing in, the storm outside a muted reflection of the chaos within her chest. Anna blinked, tears refusing to fall, her pain burning in the silence. In that moment, Anna understood that this was not the end, only the beginning of a deeper struggle. Injustice echoed in every corner of the room. The world outside raged as Anna stumbled into the courthouse hallway, her lawyer trailing behind. Reporters, like vultures scenting blood, surged forward, cameras flashing. Anna raised a trembling hand to shield her face. A journalist shouted, "Anna, do you feel justice was served?" Anna's lips parted, but no words would come. Robert Kane interposed himself, holding the swarm at bay. "No comment at this time," he said, his voice a controlled shield against the chaos. Anna's parents emerged, arms encircling her, trying to anchor her in a storm that threatened to sweep her away. She buried her face in her mother's shoulder, inhaling the scent of rain and old perfume, the only familiar comfort in a world that had turned cold and cruel. Michael Trent slipped past, his presence a chilling shadow in the corner of Anna's vision, his grin a scar that would haunt her dreams. The storm outside crashed in time with Anna's broken heartbeat, the press of humanity and loss overwhelming her. All Anna could do was hold on and hope she would not drown in the aftermath. Anna stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, hands braced on the cold porcelain sink. Her eyes were red, but the tears still would not come. The courtroom sounds echoed in her mind, gavel striking, verdict spoken, Michael's cruel smile. "You did everything you could," her mother had whispered in the hallway. But Anna's heart recoiled at the emptiness of those words. She reached for a paper towel, hands trembling, unable to wipe away the memory of injustice. Her lawyer's words echoed, "We can appeal, Anna. We're not done." But hope was thin as fog. She traced the line of her jaw, searching for the woman she used to be, someone untouched by secrets, by betrayal, by loss. The rain hammered the window. Anna looked herself in the eye and whispered, "This isn't over." In that moment, she became steel. The pain would not destroy her. Crime could not be buried. Justice would be found, even if she had to carve it out with her bare hands. Anna squared her shoulders, ready for what would come next. Back in the main hall, Anna moved with new resolve. Her parents flanked her, protective and uncertain. Reporters murmured, their hunger for scandal briefly sated. Michael Trent stood at the far end of the hall, arms folded, victory in his posture. Anna met his gaze, neither shrinking nor flinching. For a long moment, time seemed to hold still, a silent war raging in a glance. Robert Kane placed a gentle hand on Anna's shoulder, whispering, "We start again tomorrow." Anna nodded, voice low but strong, "We do." The courthouse doors swung open, letting in a rush of storm air. Anna stepped forward, chin high, her parents following. The storm outside mirrored the chaos inside her heart, but Anna would not be broken. As she exited, Michael's grin faltered, a shadow of doubt flickering across his eyes. The fight was not over, it had only just begun. Justice, though denied today, was not out of reach. Days after the verdict, Anna sat alone in her dimly lit apartment, rain tapping rhythmically against the windowpane. The silence was oppressive, yet it gave space for every thought to echo loudly. She clutched a worn photograph, her and her younger sister, laughing in a sunlit park years ago. The pain of loss was raw, sharper with each passing day. Robert Kane's promise to appeal lingered in her mind like a fragile thread of hope. But doubts gnawed at her. How do you fight a system that looks away? The evidence had been ignored, witnesses silenced by fear. Anna whispered into the empty room, "They don't want the truth." Her eyes hardened with resolve. The battle was far from over. Somewhere, hidden in shadows, lay the proof she needed. She would find it, no matter the cost. Outside, the storm broke, thunder shaking the walls as if nature itself was enraged by the miscarriage of justice. Anna rose from the couch, her silhouette stark against the gray light, ready to confront the darkness ahead. Anna met with Detective Mark Simmons, a man in his late 30s with a rugged, unshaven face and eyes that spoke of too many disappointments. The police station was cold, sterile, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. "You have to understand," Mark said. "This case isn't just closed, it's buried." His voice carried the weight of years spent chasing ghosts. Anna's fingers tapped nervously on the metal table. "I know what happened," she insisted. "And I need you to help me find the truth." Mark's gaze softened, but a shadow flickered behind it. "There are things you don't know, things better left alone." Anna's jaw clenched. "I don't care anymore." The clock ticked loudly in the room, filling the silence with growing tension. Outside the window, a sudden gust shook the blinds, mirroring the storm brewing inside both their hearts. The detective leaned back, resigned but not defeated. "All right," he said quietly, "let's see what we can uncover." Anna and Mark sifted through dusty files in the cramped police archives. The air was stale, heavy with forgotten cases. Each folder was a story waiting to be told, a truth waiting to be uncovered. "Look here," Mark muttered, flipping through a worn file. "Witness statements that don't match the official record." Anna's eyes scanned hastily scribbled notes, her heart pounding as details she never knew emerged. Names crossed out, timelines altered, a web of lies carefully spun to hide the crime. "Why would they do this?" she asked, voice trembling. Mark shook his head. "Corruption runs deep. Sometimes justice is just a word." Yet beneath the layers of deceit, a fragile glimmer of hope shone. "We can use this," Anna said, voice steady now. "If we're careful, if we're smart, we might just crack this open." The archive's flickering light cast long shadows over their determined faces, a silent pact sealed between them. The fight had shifted to the shadows, but Anna was ready to shine a light. That night, Anna sat alone at her desk, surrounded by open files and scribbled notes. Her fingers traced timelines and connections like a detective mapping a puzzle only she could see. Outside, rain continued to fall in relentless sheets, beating against the window as if urging her onward. Exhaustion clawed at her eyelids, but she refused to stop. Every detail mattered. Every whisper of truth was a weapon. Her phone buzzed. A message from Robert Kane. "We have a lead. Meet tomorrow." Relief flooded through her, mingled with anxiety. The road ahead was uncertain and fraught with danger. But Anna was no longer just a victim. She was a warrior. The storm outside mirrored the storm within, a battle between despair and hope. As dawn crept in, Anna's resolve only hardened. She whispered into the quiet room, "They won't silence me again." The next day, Anna met Robert Kane in a small cafe near the courthouse, its windows fogged from the rain. Kane's face was grave but determined as he slid a thick envelope across the table. "We found a witness willing to talk," he said quietly. Anna's heart leapt, cautious but hungry for truth. "Who?" she asked. Kane glanced around, lowering his voice. "A former insider. Someone who saw things no one else did. But be careful. This could get dangerous." Anna nodded, absorbing the weight of his words. Outside, thunder rumbled, the storm refusing to relent. She sipped her coffee, eyes burning with a fierce new light. This was her chance, the fragile thread that could unravel the lies. The fight for justice was far from over, but now Anna had a weapon no one could ignore. Anna's heart pounded as she sat across from the witness in a dimly lit anonymous diner late at night. The woman, Jessica, early 30s with nervous eyes and twitching hands, spoke quietly but with conviction. "I saw things that night, things no one wants to hear." Jessica's voice trembled, revealing a buried terror. Anna listened intently, every detail a shard of hope piercing the darkness. The cafe's flickering neon sign cast eerie shadows, heightening the tension. Anna said, "You're safe here. Tell me everything." Jessica swallowed hard. "Michael Trent, he wasn't alone. There were others involved, people with power." Anna's mind raced. This wasn't just a simple crime anymore. The web was bigger, more dangerous. The rain outside was a steady drum, the city lights blurred through the glass. Anna leaned forward, determination etched across her face. "We'll protect you. This time, the truth will come out." The next day, Anna and Robert Kane pored over new evidence provided by Jessica, photos, messages, and an address scribbled on a napkin. The office was small and cluttered, sunlight filtering weakly through dusty blinds. "This changes everything," Kane said, eyes scanning the files. Anna traced the lines on the paper, mapping connections like constellations in a dark sky. "If this leads us to the others, we expose the whole network." Her voice was steady but fierce. Kane nodded. "But be warned, these people have influence. They won't hesitate to protect their secrets." Anna's jaw tightened. "Then we have to be smarter. Faster." Outside, city noises buzzed through the cracked window. The stakes were higher than ever, and failure could mean more than just losing the case. It could mean losing everything. Anna met Mark Simmons again in a quiet corner of the police station. His face was grim, the weight of bureaucracy and threats written in his eyes. "The deeper we dig, the more dangerous it gets," he warned. "They're watching us, people in high places." Anna's fists clenched. "I'm not afraid." Mark sighed. "You should be. This isn't just about one man anymore." He slid an envelope across the table. "Inside, there's proof we couldn't bring to light before. It's risky, but it could crack the case wide open." Anna's breath hitched. The evidence was fragile, but potent. Then we moved forward, no turning back. Outside the station's window, dusk settled, casting long shadows over their determined faces. The quiet hum of fluorescent lights underscored the brewing storm of conspiracy. That evening, Anna sat alone in her apartment, the envelope's contents spread across the table. Altered logs, hidden emails, and surveillance footage. Each piece told a story of deceit far more tangled than she'd imagined. She pressed play on the grainy video, watching shadows move in a back alley, voices whispering names she recognized. A chill ran down her spine. She whispered, "This is bigger than Michael Trent." Exhaustion threatened to pull her under, but her resolve burned brighter. She knew now that exposing the truth meant confronting those who thrived in darkness. The rain pattered insistently against the window, a relentless reminder of the storm she had invited. Anna's eyes burned with determination as she reached for her phone. "We have what we need," she murmured. "It's time to fight." The next morning, Anna, Robert and Mark convened in a small private conference room. The air was thick with anticipation and unspoken fears. Kane spread the evidence on the table. "We're up against a powerful network," he said gravely. "But with this, we have a chance to bring them down." Mark nodded, eyes scanning the documents. "We must proceed carefully. One misstep and they'll bury us for good." Anna's voice was steady, unwavering. "We've come too far to turn back now." The three shared a solemn glance, knowing the risks but bound by a shared purpose. Outside the window, sunlight broke through the clouds, casting a tentative glow. It was a fragile dawn for justice, but a dawn nonetheless. The night was thick with tension as Anna met the insider witness in a shadowed parking garage under flickering fluorescent lights. The man, mid-40s with weary eyes and a rough beard, scanned their surroundings nervously. "I've never done this before," he admitted in a low voice. "But what they're hiding, it's dangerous." Anna leaned in, voice steady. "We need to know everything. No detail is too small." The man pulled out a battered USB drive. "This contains conversations, locations, everything I could gather before they noticed me." Anna's pulse quickened. The storm outside rumbled faintly, distant thunder punctuating the silence. The city's neon glow reflected off wet concrete, painting them in fractured light. "If this gets out," the man said, "they'll come after me, after us." Anna met his gaze with unwavering resolve. "Then we'll protect each other. This ends now." Back at her apartment, Anna inserted the USB drive into her laptop, hands trembling slightly. The files were encrypted, but Robert Kane had promised to help. As they worked through the night, decrypted messages revealed coded exchanges, covert meetings, names whispered like secrets in the dark. "This isn't just corruption," Kane said, voice grim. "It's a conspiracy that reaches the highest levels." Anna's eyes never left the screen. "They've been manipulating evidence, silencing witnesses, even within the police force." The weight of their discovery settled like a stone in her stomach. The rain outside turned into a downpour, each drop sounding like a countdown. Anna's determination hardened. "We have the proof now. We can't stop. We won't stop." The fight for justice had become a war. The next morning, Anna and Mark Simmons reviewed the evidence in a discreet meeting room at the police station. Mark's expression was grim as he traced lines on a printed map, connecting locations where illegal activities had taken place. "This network is sprawling," he said quietly, "and powerful. They've been covering their tracks for years." Anna's voice was steady but fierce. "We need to expose every link." Mark nodded, then hesitated. "There's something else." He slid a confidential file across the table. "An internal mole tipped us off, but we don't know who we can trust." Anna's heart quickened. The walls were closing in, alliances shifting like sand. "Then we fight smarter," she said. The sun rose outside the window, casting sharp light over their determined faces, a fragile hope in a dangerous game. Later that day, Anna confronted Michael Trent outside the courthouse, her voice cold and clear. "Your network is unraveling, Michael." Trent's confident smirk faltered for the first time, eyes narrowing. "You think you're so clever," he sneered, "but you have no idea what you're up against." Anna stepped closer, unflinching. "I have more than I need, and I have people who won't let you win." A crowd gathered, sensing the storm between them. The sky darkened, thunder rumbling like a warning. Trent's gaze flickered, the mask slipping. "This isn't over," he hissed before turning away. Anna watched him go, heart racing but unbowed. The battle had reached its boiling point. That night, Anna sat with her parents in the quiet of their living room. Her mother's hands trembled as she passed Anna a cup of tea. "You're braver than I ever was," her mother whispered. Anna smiled faintly, but her eyes held storms. "I have to be, for all of us." Her father nodded solemnly. Outside, the rain finally ceased, leaving the world washed and raw. Anna stared out the window, the city lights flickering through mist. The weight of the coming battle pressed down, but in the quiet, she found strength. This fight was no longer just about one crime. It was about uncovering a truth too long buried. And no matter the cost, Anna would see it done. The courthouse buzzed with restless energy as Anna prepared to present her new evidence. The trial had been reopened amid growing public outcry, but the opposition was fierce. Michael Trent's legal team arrived in force, their confident smirks sharp as daggers. Anna stood at the plaintiff's table, her navy suit crisp, eyes steely with purpose. Robert Kane leaned in, whispering, "This is the moment." The courtroom doors closed, hushed voices fading. The judge, the same woman who once dismissed the case, adjusted her glasses and nodded for Anna to begin. Taking a deep breath, Anna addressed the room. The truth is no longer buried beneath lies and silence. She revealed documents, video clips, and testimony from witnesses previously silenced. Gasps echoed. The tension was palpable. The fight for justice was no longer a whisper, but a roar. The defense struck back swiftly, attempting to discredit the witness Jessica and undermine the new evidence. Michael Trent's lawyer, a sharply dressed man in his 50s, launched into a scathing cross-examination, his voice dripping with disdain. "Walker, how can we trust this testimony given the inconsistencies and motives?" Anna watched Jessica's face, pale but unwavering. Kane countered, "The evidence is corroborated by multiple independent sources." The courtroom murmured, the balance teetering. Anna felt the weight of every gaze, every doubt cast. Yet, beneath the attacks, a fragile hope took root. The truth was no longer invisible, and cracks appeared in the carefully constructed lies. Anna's resolve grew fiercer with every challenge. This was her fight, and she was ready to see it through. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed, shouting questions as Anna emerged. The storm clouds that had threatened all week finally broke, rain drenching the street. Cameras flashed relentlessly. "Anna, how do you feel after today's testimony?" a reporter called out. Anna's voice was steady but weary. "We're one step closer to justice, but the fight is far from over." Her parents stood close, proud but exhausted. Michael Trent watched from a distance, his expression unreadable. Anna's gaze met his briefly, a silent vow passing between them. The rain soaked her, but she welcomed the cleansing chill. This was no longer just a courtroom battle. It was a war for truth, and Anna was determined to win. Back in a private conference room, Anna, Robert, and Mark strategized their next move. The evidence was strong, but the opposition was growing desperate. "They're using every tactic to delay, discredit, and intimidate," Mark warned, rubbing his temples. Anna's eyes burned with determination. "We won't back down. Every witness will be protected, every lie exposed." Kane nodded in agreement, his voice calm but firm. "The final battle is ahead. We must be ready for anything." The room hummed with a tense energy, a fragile alliance forged in shared purpose. Outside, the city buzzed with indifferent life, unaware of the storm brewing in that small room. Anna's resolve solidified. This was more than a trial now. It was a reckoning. The courtroom filled with a heavy silence as the verdict was read. Anna's breath caught in her throat, the weight of months bearing down. The judge's voice was steady but grave. "We find the defendant guilty, on all counts." A collective gasp rippled through the room. Anna's eyes welled with tears she no longer tried to hold back. Robert Kane squeezed her hand gently, a smile breaking through his usual stoicism. Michael Trent's face paled, his confident facade crumbling. Outside, the rain had stopped, sunlight streaming through clouds like a promise. The battle was won, but Anna knew the scars would remain. Justice was served, yet the journey had forever changed her. As the courtroom emptied, Anna whispered, "This was just the beginning." The courtroom was quieter now, the heavy weight of the verdict settling like dust in the air. Anna sat near the front, her gaze distant but resolute. The victory had come at a steep price. Her personal life fractured, trust forever altered. Robert Kane leaned close, whispering, "This is your strength, Anna." She nodded, swallowing the exhaustion that pressed on her chest. Outside, the city moved on obliviously, indifferent to the storm she had weathered. The rain had left everything glistening, streets reflecting a new dawn. Yet Anna felt no peace. The faces of those lost, the scars left unseen, haunted her still. Justice had been served, but the cost echoed in every quiet moment. She stood, ready to face the world anew, her spirit tempered but unbroken. The fight had changed her, but she was not broken. Anna returned to her apartment, the silence wrapping around her like a second skin. The walls held memories of pain and triumph, every shadow a reminder of battles fought. Her parents called, voices trembling with relief and love. "We're proud of you," her mother said softly. But Anna's thoughts drifted to the hidden costs. The friendships strained, the nights without sleep, the constant fear lurking just beneath the surface. She poured herself a cup of tea, the warmth grounding her. The storm outside had passed, but inside, the quiet churned. She whispered, "What now?" The answer was unclear, but she knew one thing. Her life would never be the same. The justice she fought for was not just a verdict. It was a beginning of a new path, one carved from resilience and hope. Weeks later, Anna sat with Mark Simmons in a quiet cafe, reflecting on the journey. "You've changed everything," Mark said quietly, stirring his coffee. Anna smiled faintly. "It's not just me. We had help, those who dared to speak." Her eyes darkened. "But the system is still broken." Mark nodded. "Justice is a battle, not a destination." Anna leaned back, the weight of truth settling in her bones. "I'm ready for the next fight." Outside, autumn leaves swirled in the breeze, the world shifting with time. The scars of the past lingered, but so did the hope for a better future. Anna knew this was only the first chapter in a long story, a story she was determined to write. That evening, Anna sat alone in a park, the city skyline glowing softly behind her. She watched families and strangers pass by, their lives seemingly untouched by the battles she'd fought. The breeze carried the scent of rain and earth. She pulled her coat tighter, feeling the loneliness that accompanied victory. But in that solitude, a quiet strength blossomed. "I survived," she whispered, "and I will keep fighting for truth, for those without a voice." The stars began to pierce the darkening sky, each one a fragile promise. Anna's gaze lifted to the horizon, her silhouette framed by the glowing city lights. The path ahead was uncertain, but she faced it without fear. Her journey was far from over. In the quiet of her apartment late at night, Anna journaled her thoughts by soft lamp light. Her pen moved steadily, capturing pain, hope, and resolve. The words were a balm, a testament to the journey's toll and triumphs. "Justice is never simple," she wrote. "It demands sacrifice, courage, and unyielding faith." The night deepened outside, shadows dancing on the walls. Anna paused, breathing in the stillness. She knew challenges awaited, but she welcomed them now with open eyes and an unbroken spirit. The fight for truth was eternal, and so was her commitment. Closing the journal, she whispered, "This is just the beginning." The silence that followed was filled with promise and the strength to carry on. The courtroom was hushed as Anna prepared for the final hearing, the culmination of years of struggle. Her navy suit felt heavier than ever, weighed down by every memory, every sacrifice. Robert Kane stood close, a quiet pillar of support. Anna's gaze swept the room, landing on familiar faces. Her parents, Mark Simmons, and even Michael Trent, whose eyes now held something unreadable. The judge entered, commanding silence. Anna's voice was calm but fierce as she began. This is not just about one crime. It is about justice denied and truth reclaimed. The courtroom absorbed her words, the tension palpable. Outside, storm clouds gathered, mirroring the gravity inside. This was the moment everything changed, or everything shattered. Anna laid out the evidence with precision. Documents, videos, and testimonies that exposed a web of corruption reaching deep into the city's core. Michael Trent's defense faltered under the weight of truth. The courtroom watched, breath held, as the narrative shattered old lies. Anna's voice echoed, "We fought silence with courage, lies with evidence, fear with truth." The judge's expression hardened, the scale of justice tipping visibly. Anna's heart raced, the final pieces falling into place. Outside, thunder cracked, lightning briefly illuminating the courtroom like a flash of reckoning. The battle for justice was no longer a whisper, but a roar that could not be ignored. The defense tried one last desperate gambit, but Anna's calm rebuttal left no room for doubt. "This is not a vendetta. This is justice." Her words cut through the tension like a blade. Michael Trent's facade cracked, revealing fear beneath arrogance. The jury whispered among themselves, the verdict now inevitable. Anna's eyes locked with Mark's, a silent promise shared. The storm outside began to break, rain pounding the courthouse roof, echoing the emotional crescendo. The courtroom was a crucible of truth and consequence. Anna knew that whatever happened next, her fight had already changed the world. The judge rose, silence falling like a shroud. "We find the defendant guilty." The words struck like thunder. Anna's breath hitched, tears flooding freely now, a mixture of relief, exhaustion, and vindication. Michael Trent's face fell, disbelief and defeat battling within. Anna's parents wept quietly behind her. The courtroom erupted in a mixture of shock and muted celebration. Outside, the storm broke wide open, rain washing away the darkness. Anna felt a surge of hope and sorrow intertwined. Justice was served, but the wounds it left were deep. She whispered, "This is not the end." Later that night, Anna stood alone on a quiet rooftop, the city lights twinkling below like distant stars. The rain had ceased, leaving the world fresh and raw. She whispered into the wind, "Justice can never be silent." The weight of all she'd endured settled in her chest, but so did a fierce peace. The fight for truth was endless, but she was ready. Her reflection shimmered faintly in a puddle beside her, strong, scarred, unyielding. The final breath of the story hung in the air like a promise and a question. Anna's voice, barely more than a whisper, echoed into the night. "What comes next is ours to decide."